All right, once again, I'm back. Just getting back into the day. Um, it's been interesting. Like I said, it's like I was gone a month, and now I'm back. Coming back in the ground running. Got a lot of stuff to drop, man. It's been an interesting month. I was supposed to be out 2 weeks, and they kept me out for a month. But it's okay. I don't know when 2 weeks turns into a month, but it is what it is. Um, so, so thank you very much. ScrewTube or whatever you want to call it. I did say I was coming back on today, so I did what I said I was going to do. 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, I try to accomplish everything I say I'm gonna do. This that 0.1% that sometimes can get in the way. And the 0.1% was YouTube striking me twice in a month, in the same month, especially on Xmas, or Christmas or whatever. I guess they didn't have any Christmas spirit. But I got the bishop coming on today, and others possibly. We'll see. Um, Maybe Miss Lockhart, a couple other people. So, been an interesting journey for the last um, 2 years of this COVID thing and all that. But you know, in life you win some, you lose some, and then sometimes you just gotta stay your ass on the sideline. I don't know. Um, but it's life. You're not getting out this thing alive. So why worry about it? Um, do what you can in the present, and don't let your past always dictate your present and future. But nevertheless, I've got the great William G. Scott on. So,
Good
what's going on, brother?
evening. Good afternoon.
How you doing, sir?
Not bad. How you doing?
Doing okay. Making
Good.
sure that everything. Everything been okay?
Yeah, and this nice snowy day.
Yeah, there's been a lot of snow, and it wasn't that much bad down here. It is snow though, but not as bad.
Yeah, it's been a mess up here. Snow and wind and cold.
Mm. It's kind of cold down here though.
Yeah, I know it has to be.
It was actually
So,
cold in Florida too.
oh yeah, I think it's all the way from the top to the bottom, from Maine all the way to Florida, up and down that 95 Carter.
Yeah, my fault. I don't know what's going on on the other end of this thing. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just trying to get this camera back working or whatever. It's matter. There it is.
There we
So,
go.
what's been going on out in the world? I mean, we got uh, clown shows. I see people getting happy over Supreme Court justices and a lot of
I was
things.
going to talk about that. Yeah, about the.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it because you got to do a little bit of connection, and I don't think the average um, black person understands that these justices they've had to pick mean you no good. They mean you no good. A lot of them was on the Obama administration, so that he was picking, so you already know that's bad.
That's true.
Um,
Let me turn
um,
this up a little bit.
Most of them are swirling and either have white or Jewish ties. One of them has a Jewish father.
Well,
So
once
you,
again, we have someone who naturally is married to who's married to actually a relative, in-law rather, to Paul Ryan, the former Speaker of the House. Paul,
that too.
yeah. So I mean, everything is politics. Everything has a common connection. If you keep on looking, keep on searching it down, keep on unraveling it, you'll see that the status quo, the establishment, has its hands in everything. And so she's another
Let me bring
candidate.
up a
I mean,
let me
she's
bring up a
related to the
situation
former
here.
Speaker of the House. She's related to Paul Ryan, was Speaker of the House. He ran as vice president with
Thank you.
Mitt Romney during the 2012 campaign and all of this type of thing. That's her in-law, her husband, and they're related to them somehow or another. So once again, we're just going into this just the same old routine. Naturally, African Americans are very happy again for another gesture, another symbolism of liberty, of equality. These gestures have no real meaning actually to impact our lives. But once again, another black face, and we're just so happy, so elated. And I like my people to be involved in every aspect of politics and government and all of that. I relish that. But in the scheme of things, their being in these places are good for them and their family, good for their reputation and all of that. But how does it impact us as a people? Not just as a race, but as Americans as well. How does it really impact our lives?
Let me
We'll
bring
see.
something up here. Let me bring something into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's mighty funny. I was talking to my great aunt the other day. She's about 80, probably 85, could be older or younger. I really haven't checked on the age in a while. But anyway, she was just talking about how when I was younger, she bought me a dictionary when I was probably like 2 or 3 and paid $100 for it. And she like, you read it all the way to the back and front. And, she was like, you always was a gifted child. I told her, yeah. And I say this, and I say, I'm starting to see the results of the gifts pay off today, with who I talk to, who I associate with, and so forth and the like. But she was saying, but you always knew what words mean. But I thought about it today. If she bought me a dictionary today, there would be a lot of words in there like non-binary and stuff that you couldn't even explain. I would probably have a hard time talking as far as today, right?
Oh, yeah.
But one third in the word was Joe Biden said, I'm going to nominate a black woman.
Right.
The Supreme Court. A nomination is nothing to get happy about. Nominate just means I put your name in a hat with other contenders. I'm only going to pick one. But I nominate. Right. Nomination like a raffle ticket. That's what a nomination is. I pick it out the hat, and you are the winner, right? Nomination is like hitting the lottery. Everybody playing the Powerball, only one person winning.
That's right.
So a nomination is nothing. That just means I pick you out of a certain group.
You have to be confirmed.
Confirmed by the Senate.
Right.
Now I look at this as one of the two ways. You could either get confirmed by the Senate, right? You still be in a minority position because you still be 6-3 majority. Or the other thing can happen. I nominate you, the Senate don't confirm you, and then you say, well, that's the reason why you need to get out there and vote in the next election. It's because so you could get a black woman on the Supreme Court. So you could play that game two ways.
Oh, yeah. Either way it goes. Either if she is accepted, then of course we have, really in my mind, with Stephen Breyer leaving, it's not going to change the composition of the court in terms of the liberals versus the conservative. Because Stephen was a liberal, I'm sure, because this lady has the endorsement of Obama and Hillary and the support of President Biden. She will be another liberal voice on the court. But it's like a trade-off. One liberal's leaving and another liberal's coming on to the court. So, it's still going to be pretty much a 5-4, if that, vote, sometime more than that. It all matters on what the conservative wing wants to do. But, so it's not going to impact as much as, let's say, Trump's nominees did. Because Trump leveled the court and swung it another way. The liberals ended up with 3. Exactly. He had 3 nominations, and they were confirmed. And because of that, he has more in terms of his people. The conservative wing of the party, of the Republican Party, has more of an input and impact. Then
Donald Trump had a statement.
Was still there. Clarence Carter.
Donald Trump had a statement. Donald Trump had one statement when he was running.
Mm-hmm.
He said he did more in 4 years than Joe Biden did in his 47 years or 47 months or something like that, or whatever.
Right.
47 months in 4 years. Something
Yeah,
that
yeah, no, 47 years of his
no, it was 40.
being in
I did
politics.
more in 47 months than Joe Biden did in 47 years.
Okay.
And that was big to get 3 justices. And actually, those 3 justices did help with that. You say what about Trump, you want to, but daggone those 3 justices helped with those mandates on one end of the coin.
Yeah, because first of all, some of Trump's nominees that eventually became confirmed took the places of some liberals who either resigned, retired, or died. They died. Some of the liberals died. So when he put his conservative in there, his conservative persons in there, and they won, they were confirmed. Then the balance shifted. The balance shifted. At one time, it was a very liberal court, but when the liberals died, and he was able to place 3 conservatives within the court, the balance of the composition of the court, which was liberal, had been a liberal court leaning that way, now has shifted to becoming a very conservative court. And the problem with the new nominee, whoever that person may be, is the fact that a liberal is leaving and another liberal is coming in. So there is no taking over anything. It's keeping things status quo. And the status quo is the court is run right now by a conservative mindset. And you're not going to change that by switching a liberal.
Well, you got a conservative mindset, but you got kind of like 5-4, really, because Robert sometimes
it's going to be 5-4. But it's going to stay that way because Stephen was a liberal, and whoever's going to be the one following him, Biden is going to nominate, and if he or she is confirmed, it'll be another liberal. So it's like a wash. It's going to still stay 5-4. See, Trump had a good thing because liberals were leaving, either through dying or resigning. And so he put conservatives in their place. Biden's not putting a liberal in a conservative's place. He's putting a liberal in a liberal's place, which means the composition is going to stay the same.
I can tell you this. Judge Biden can put them to be pro-mandate, pro-LGBTQ. I can already tell you what they're going to be. Joe Biden said something, and I want you to know something. He's been saying a lot. If you listen to him, he actually tells you. He said, we have to restore the power in our institutions. Well, what are institutions? The FBI, CIA, your colleges. Those are institutions.
Right.
He just told you I'm an institutionalist. He just told you that means he's not for the Constitution. He's telling you that. This is what he's saying. This is not me. This is what I'm saying. I listen to him. See, a lot of people said, well, was the election unconstitutional? Well, yes, it was. But he told you these are our institutions. What are we rolling with? Nonprofits, big business, fascism, globalism. Listen to the words they say. They're actually telling you. They're not lying. I mean, you just don't use your third eye to see what's really going on. And actually, use your third eye, your third eye will become your first eye. Because you're going to really able to see all the gimmicks and gaps. That's why I said, oh, that's baloney. I mean, but nevertheless, we've got a guy named Charlemagne the God. Who
from the Breakfast Club
told him, you don't vote for me, you not black. Remember that?
Right.
Pretty sure you remember that. He came and said on his own show that he tired of Biden, that the Democrats, they breaking promises, they didn't do what they said. He said, I kind of wish we would need Trump back, at least you got a boogeyman. He said, they basically said, what y'all gonna talk about this time?
But like you said, Bernard, to be truthful, they're not lying to you. We just refuse to listen. We refuse to accept the fact. Somebody once said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So we're not believing what we see. We're not believing what we hear. We're not believing the history of the man. We're not believing what he said recently, as of last year. You're not talking about 50 years ago, last year, when he said that in terms of this Trump thing. If you vote for Trump, you're not black. That was last year. It wasn't no 30 years. That was 2020. 2 years, not even 2 years ago now. He said that. He said out of his own mouth, I wouldn't even consider reparations unless it includes Native Americans. He said that. Not 50 years ago. 2 years ago. In December of last year of
wait a minute.
2020, when he called those
Jim
Clyburn.
Didn't Jim Clyburn just talking about the Quadawaba Nation or something like that?
Yeah. We talked about that. We talked about that the other day on my program. Here you have a man that, he stood on the floor boldly, appealing and making recommendations and ordering that the House does something about this thing and give justice to the Catawba Indians. And yet we have people, the Gullah Geechees, right in that same area, his folk. And they're losing their land as the Native Americans are gaining their land. And how can you be so vehement and so strong and so powerful in your defense and your stand with these Native Americans who, by the way, historically owned slaves down there in South Carolina? And more than that, they were bounty hunters that caught escaped slaves and brought them back to the masters. And the slaves said they rushed to go back to the master because the cruelty perpetrated against them by these Native Americans was so outrageous. I'd rather get the whip of a white man than to be in the hands of the Calabar Indian. Now that's saying something. And here you are promoting, defending, and advocating for these folk, and they're going to get land so they can build what? A casino. While your own people, the Gullah Geechees, are losing their land by the millions of acres.
Well,
but it shows you, just like I said before, many a time before, I say if you look at the order of service, not the order of service, but rather the order of the Black Caucus, what their priorities are. If you look at what their standard is, their agenda, what they're proposing, and you look at them and they'll say Black Americans and minority groups and other minority groups, people of color, are part of their agenda to defend and protect other groups. But when you look at the Latinos' agenda and their call for action, ain't no black in there. They're not advocating for us. The Pacific Islanders and the Asians are not advocating for us. All you got to do is read see, we don't read nothing. All you got to do is read the agendas of all those three groups. African Americans with the Black Caucus, the Latino Americans, they got a caucus, and so do the Asian American and Pacific Islanders have a caucus. And if you look at their agenda, you will see that all of them talk about their own group.
We don't have a Black Caucus, though.
No, we don't.
We have everybody's caucus. So what are you talking about?
So you got Latinos. Actually, you know what? I'm going to tell you. The Latinos actually got two. They got the Black Caucus and they got their own. The Asian Americans got two. They got the Black Caucus and they got their own. We have no caucus.
I got Victor on the conversation, actually.
Oh, Victor, good afternoon, brother.
I hear you, Bishop. You going in on them today, brother.
As usual.
Yeah, you going
Always
in
good seeing you, my brother.
Man.
Always
good seeing you too. Yes, definitely. But go ahead. Don't let me slow you. Don't let me slow your roll, man.
Go on, Victor. We love your input.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, the way Clyburn turned his back on those folks down there, because essentially that's what he did.
He did.
And how was the people? My question is, and always will be, is how the people down there that put him in office. I mean, how are they receiving this? I would really like to know what their thought patterns are in terms of what he's done, or do they even realize what has happened there? It's a question that has to be, you know, that can be answered by the people down there. They're gonna have to put their foot down. I mean, we we've had all of this so-called melanated representation without being represented.
Right.
We just ain't had no
Yeah.
representation, man. And
We got
Dr.
more
Claude
folk in
Anderson,
government now than ever before in history. And
yeah,
we haven't moved 1 inch further. In
and
fact, in some ways, we've gone backward because of them being in there.
mhm, yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson said they stopped representing us a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it's quite obvious that many of them are getting getting paid, not to represent us. And I mean, you think about the special interest groups that fund their campaigns, and the benefits to travel all over the world, private jets, and
Hmm.
to go to a 2-hour meeting and spend the whole week. I mean, think about it. These guys were all down in, where was it, Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
When
Yep. Very recently. Very recently.
Yeah, I mean, they go down there. They have these, I don't know, these getaways for, I guess they call it, trying
Retreats.
to, well, retreats. Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to do their work to
Hmm.
put in policies and things that represent the people. But that stuff only lasts a couple of hours, and then they out having fun. I
Oh, yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you know, um, at least that's what it seemed like to me. Because at the end of the day, because the Democrats realize, man, that they can't really come out and really state what it is that what they really represent, what they stand for, and what they believe in, because the people just wouldn't go for it. And I think what we're looking at is a march to socialism and Marxism in a very direct manner. Because I mean, now they're wide open with it, with the advent of the young folks coming in, like the AOCs and the Presleys and all of these folks who claim to represent us.
Right.
I think about this young lady. You know, I call her the little dingbat. She goes down to Florida. I mean, it's amazing how these people were going in on Ron DeSantis because he got the state open, and people are down there just living their life as though this never really took place. But then they flocked down there, you know, to enjoy it. I mean, think about it. I think it was the governor of Colorado. It was a couple of those folks. They took off and went down to Florida
Right.
while having their constituents on lockdown. And it just shows the blatant arrogance of these folks to um, to show that. I mean, this is blatantly showing people that they don't really care about the struggles of the
No.
American
No.
people at all.
But Victor, I'm gonna say this. Um, what bothers me is you don't have to read a book to see
Hmm.
these things. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's go back to Clyburn for a minute. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
uh, he has been somebody that I think averaged it out. Because I was saying on my program about he's been there for 30 years, and
Hmm.
each congressman is only serving every 2 years. Then you can weed them out after the second year.
Right.
Their
Right.
term is only 2 years. So if I've been in the thing for 30 years, that means I've been reelected 15 times. All you have to do is look at your own life. Has your life improved in the 15 times you put this man back into the House of Representatives? Has your life, don't read about a book and have to look at somebody's history.
Hmm.
What has your life been since he's
Right.
been your House
Right.
of Representative congressman? What has your life
Well,
been?
I mean, it's amazing because I've always stated, and I've stated it on your program and on the judges show, that once they go past 15, 20, 30 years of
Hmm.
service in office, they're no longer there for the people.
No,
They
no.
just, I mean, they're not there for us. that is thrown out the window, and I think it's quite
Yeah.
obvious. You know, they, on one of the radio programs here in Cleveland, they were talking about because the guy he was more conservative, but he was kind of fair-minded because he would have some of the Democrat representatives on, local politicians and some of the people like Sherrod Brown would
Hmm.
come on and and have discussions with them, and they would be very good, cordial conversations. And then once General Motors pulled out of Lordstown, uh, not too far down the road from me, then the guy was criticizing Sherrod Brown because it was like all of a sudden now here you come, you
Hmm.
know, when you should have been out there fighting because the word went out before Obama left office that they were going to pull out of Lordstown, and so that I mean that's a lot of work for the Youngstown, Warren, you know, Canton, Akron, Cleveland areas. I mean, a lot of folks. I mean, I knew folks that were family members, friends who worked at Lordstown. Some worked in Twinsburg at the Chrysler plant. I mean, you look at these things as they've been moved out. You ask yourself, where was these politicians at when this stuff was going down? I mean, a lot of what I'd say people, young folks like Bernard and maybe even younger, what they don't realize is that this manufacturing sector was part of the main reason why you had an exodus of a lot of our people from the south to the north, because you had the steel mills, you had the auto
Right.
industry and all of that, and people came to these areas. I mean, Detroit, Michigan, at one time was considered the wealthiest city in the country, and I mean not in the country, but in the world in the 1950s because of the auto industry. So a lot of people went there that look like us. Go ahead, Bernard.
Let me bring this
I
up
didn't know.
because come think about it, they were talking about a chip shortage the other day, and they were talking about the chip shortage could end up harming factories, and factories could be closing across the
Hmm.
country. Now, that's kind of retrospect because if you really read what they're doing, all you got to do is read about the fourth industrial revolution, and you can
Hmm.
see what it is. Fourth industrial revolution is more of a tech circuit than more of a
Yeah.
manual labor circuit. Technology, aristocrat, bureaucrats. That's why you got the World Economic Forum and stuff like that. When they say that we got America called out sick, or 10 million people called is out of work, or whatever the case may be, probably more.
Hmm.
Thought 10 million on grid. On grid. How
Right.
many people not applying anymore? How many people not working? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, in order to do that, you have to eliminate something to get your fourth industrial revolution going. So the
Hmm.
part of General Motors leaving Cleveland, or hey, what's up, Hannibal, and Shaq, um, that's how you would have to do it. You would have to do it that way as well, because you got to do that to start off the industrial revolution you want. You will
Yeah.
own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
looking at my phone, Charles Slop. That's what he said.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is, um,
Said.
I don't think that people really understand the devious plans of what they're doing. Really, this stuff started back with the Obama, because a lot of factories closed in the Obama administration. But as a matter of fact, come to think about it,
Well, no, it
that was
goes
one of
back.
the things
It
that
goes
happened
back
in
further than
Detroit with
that.
the water crisis. If you really think about it, because the
Yeah.
water crisis really was when Detroit went bankrupt and they were just throwing their minerals or metals into the ocean. That's what happened.
Hmm.
And now, 5 years later, well, not five, well, yeah, 5 to 6 years later, after Obama goes and chugs some water and he said, "Oh my goodness, I came to see you and I'm going to drink me some water. Oh, this water is really good, right? Oh, yeah, it's good. It's really good, right? But then again, it's not really that good because it's fake." And
But
Right.
now the attorney general, they're not even going to prosecute nobody when these were some of the most devious crimes against men that were happening.
Right.
For you to
Right.
mention, you got your lawsuit money, and then you say, "Well, we're not going to prosecute anybody because it's not worth prosecution." Are you serious?
I mean, Yeah, and crimes are committed here. I mean, you if and this is what I say, man. When you look at them, and this is both parties, folks that have been in there for a long time.
Very old
You know,
biscuit.
they they play the game. They blame everybody else but themselves because they have um, refused to stand up. I mean, they refuse to stand up, but it also pays very well not to stand up. So you get these agendas as we're watching manufacturing die. And as I was stating before, man, you know, as a
Ain't no
kid growing
ain't no
up in the '70s,
ain't no love in
there was,
standing up, brother.
but when I was coming up, man, there was all kind of manufacturing work available. You know, the steel mills were humming and booming along, and you think about, a lot of the families of our people, man. I mean, many of these folks, man, they, you know, had their dads worked in these places, and they took care of their families, and many of them sent, their children off to college. So these jobs were available, they were there, and it was what was fueling the economics of our community. A lot of these communities also had some of these men and women who worked in these high paying manufacturing jobs. Some of them owned businesses on the side, small corner stores and things of that nature, man. And this was economics 101 at work. I mean, what we saw was an example of the free market capitalistic system. And what we're dealing with today is what we would call is what most conservatives would call crony capitalism. And that's when our elected officials and people in government would get in bed with, you know, um, with the politicians, and they would mark their agenda. And at the end of the day, it was we the people that suffered. It was just then they got the unions involved, and as a person that has been in the union for a long time, there's a lot of good benefits to being a union worker, but then by the same
I'm looking at
token,
this
there's some
comment right here.
downsides to it too.
His dad
You
worked
know.
in the steel mill.
Hmm.
Job got outsourced in the early '90s to India and decimated our family finances.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it just, it was globalization is what they called it, and we started seeing the steel mills and all, just all of the factories just
I
disappearing,
worked for Ford in
and
Detroit.
these places really existed. Yeah. And see, you think of Detroit, not only did they have the auto industry was booming there. You had the steel mills. I knew some older gentlemen that were brothers, and they would work in Michigan, and then they would come back home here to Ohio on the weekend, to be with their families. But and they were making good money, you know. But once that went away, because I always looked at it, 100 years ago, when you think about Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, when you think because there was a Black Wall Street, I think, in Greensboro, South Carolina
Right, and it
during that
was.
time,
It was.
and then you had Bronzeville in Chicago. You also had the Harlem Renaissance, and a lot of these cities were melanated, where our people, worked and they owned businesses. They were educated, um, and they kept the communities going. And then once Tulsa, Oklahoma happened, we kind of just kind of fell off the charts in terms of economics. So
Ford cut over 100 jobs in the last 20 years. 100,000
yeah,
jobs, he said.
yeah, 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 and you know, but once that happened, these folks recognize that you give these melanated people an inch, they're gonna take a mile. And we saw that when we worked in these manufacturing jobs, when dads and granddads were helping to send their children and grandchildren off to college, and you saw these folks owning the corner stores and stuff, which don't exist anymore hardly. Um, you know, It was a very masterful plan that they put together to decimate our communities. And the sad part about it is the people that represent us, they look at this and they just let it happen and let it go by the wayside. Of course, they get on television and you hear them arguing back and forth about this, that, and the other. A lot of these trade policies got all of their signatures on it. They all sign on to it, and this is the result.
I'll say this. I'm sorry, I had a call and
Nope.
that interrupted my. I
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
hear nobody.
Yes, I'm
But
back.
let me say this. Uh, um, they know what they're doing. There's nothing. There's nothing accidental about any of this. They know
Nothing.
what they're
Nothing.
doing. They go party line, party line. I don't care what they're doing. They're staying in
Hmm.
position because the party put them there. The machine, the party machine, put these people there for a reason. They put them there to
Hmm.
keep us where we are, to keep us dependent on government, to not let us move up and move out of being dependent upon government. We are too dependent as a people. I don't think there's no
Yes.
people in this country that are as dependent upon government to do so much for them as we are. And the ironic thing about it is, we expect the government, which has never done anything for us, to do something for us
Hmm.
sooner or later.
Let
And the
me let
sad
me
part
bring up
about
something
it
right
is,
here.
we send
Hey,
our own
let.
folk there to assure that we are represented, and they're the least representative of us. So we got folk look like me, look like you, look like Bernard, going to be representing us, and their whole agenda is to represent the party machine that put them in
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Let
Can
me
I say
let me
this
bring
real
up something
quick? Go ahead, Bernard.
this brother's saying. He's saying that people were buying houses and
Yeah.
stuff. Well, let me put it back up here. They were buying houses.
Yeah. Put
Um,
it back up there.
I put it back up. They were buying
Yeah. Okay.
houses and putting their kids through college through manufacturing. The government had intervened for monkey wrenching that. Let me stop right there because I wanted to
Yeah.
bring up something. Because I gotta go off kilter a little bit because I didn't bring two subjects in. But matter of fact, let me just throw that word. I'm glad he said the word monkey because it reminded me in Pennsylvania where you were at. They
Yeah,
actually said some monkeys escaped out of a trailer, and the woman tried to stop the monkeys, and
yeah.
three of them got euthanized. Go to the doctor if you feel ill. Kind of like the 1995 movie Outbreak. I mean, they're running a script
Mhm.
right out of Pennsylvania right now, Bishop, and that's the 1995 movie Outbreak. But I wanted to bring up something because I wanted to bring this up. I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on this because I got to talk about another topic. But I want to bring this up. We'll come back to some of this that we're talking about. Listen, what I just said sound crazy, but everything I've been saying been coming to fruition, including
Mm-mm.
I never expected to get 2 strikes in a month, but I did. So I must be pissing somebody off, right? Just being honest. But there's a word they've been using in the news media a lot called misinformation. They've been using that word a lot. I've been hearing them. This is misinformation. Oh, ban Joe Rogan on Spotify. Neil Young, a rock star, saying, if you got Joe Rogan, you can't have me. Then another person says, then this person, all this
Didn't
so-called,
Spotify tell them so what? We
that's
don't
what he
care
said.
about your
But
position.
that's what he said. So what? Um, Oh, wait a minute. Now let me say something about this. Let me say something. I'm glad I brought this up because I didn't even know this. This page is shadow banned. Your page to take days for video to show up. I'm lucky to see you in my feed because if I go to your page, the video will not be there. Keep pushing. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Now, that's good because last night Darius Phantom was sending in the chat, but they said I had nobody watching. But I know I got people watching because daggone he sent messages in the chat. So I know he was listening. So,
Mhm.
but why do you want to shadow ban Bernard for? I mean, I ain't nobody. I mean, I'm me. I'm a
What?
little
What?
148 pounds, man. What you want to shadow ban me for? I ain't gonna kill
Well,
nobody.
well, you gotta understand also too the algorithms. But then by the same token, you'll have the judge on. And judge has been very controversial in a lot of the things that he says and the positions that he's taken. So, you know, you'll get a lot of views especially when the judge comes on. He's a nationally known figure, so therefore, they're really watching you now. So we've gotten to the point where we have to speak in cold languages, in order to get beyond the algorithms and stuff. So that's why they're coming after Bernard.
Well, but look though, I ain't. Hey, look, I haven't said nothing that I haven't read off these people's website. I go look it up, and then I just say, okay, here it is. I mean, it's right here. I mean, it's not like they're lying. I mean, I mean, if I see about but then you won't use the word misinformation. Don't bring this misinformation on. That's misinformation. You got Biden going around telling people that social media companies, please ban misinformation on your platform. The misinformation is killing people. No. See that word misinformation.
Well, see, it was
Let's not use the word propaganda. Propaganda.
Mhm.
The word is propaganda. It's not misinformation. They are pushing propaganda. That's why these idiots get paid. Some of them get paid $1 million side to sit there and talk a bunch of bullshit. It's stupid. I mean, you got a woman sitting up there really rattling around about the surgeon being confirmed. The Democrats in Florida walk out of the meeting because they said that he doesn't agree with wearing masks. You know what? I was at the gym today. I saw a woman wearing a mask in the pool. I'm like, what, you go scuba diving or something? I mean, hey, look, I teach you dang gonna put your ass on and go scuba diving. I guarantee your ass gonna drown. Shit. So I'm about to see people wearing masks in 95 and all this stuff. I don't know what the hell is going on, right? But I'm just saying that everything I said is they claim is information, but then again, it comes true. So who is misinformation? Or in the Bible, it says a word that says the dragon spewed out a flood. Well, I call that flood the propaganda they push. They love pushing propaganda, but they don't give you nothing to back up their propaganda but words, empty promises, and all that. But ain't even the promises, actually tell you the truth. So what I'm saying, the censorship is getting outrageous. I'm just saying that's how they're doing it. And it's not easy to live in a world like sensitive. We are not living in China, dude.
Yeah. And this harkens back before Trump took office. There was a guy on the radio I was listening to, nationally syndicated radio program. And one of the things that he was saying that Donald Trump should have done was broke up these big tech companies. And I think Trump went in office thinking that, being a businessman, a negotiator, or whatever the case might be, that he could go in and negotiate. Because if you remember, they came up to the White House to sit down and have conversation with him. Now, you can even go back to when Obama was president. These big techs would go in there and sit down with Obama. I think they were plotting and planning this during his administration to 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 get to a point where they would start censoring everybody. Now, I'm not exactly sure when Section 230 came into play, but it is giving them cover to censor everybody.
Well, Chinese dissident. He came to America. He's from mainland China, not Taiwan. He's
Hmm.
from mainland China, which meant he experienced the Chinese Cultural Revolution of China, Mao
Right.
Zedong and all of that, and the communist takeover there. And he said, your country is becoming like our country was during the Cultural Revolution. And the
Uh-huh.
commentator, who was an American, naturally asked him, what do you mean by that? How can you correlate the Chinese Revolution in the Cultural Revolution with the standing that we have today? He said the first thing they did was quiet the voices of opposition.
Yep.
That's the
Yep.
first tactic that you use. So there is no opposition. Censorship is the number one thing. Go to Nazi Germany. The
Yeah.
first thing they did was quiet any opposition to the government. It was
And
against
they
the law. You
also,
couldn't speak against the government.
yeah,
And we're
and then
moving in that direction now.
yeah, and then also too in Nazi Germany, if I remember correctly, not only did they silence the opposition, but once they got foothold of power, then the folks that was carrying the water for them in the media, they started getting rid of them too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened in the Soviet Union after Russia fell and the communists took over and
Okay.
established the Soviet Union. The same thing. Stalin, the first thing he did was quiet any opposition, even those that were his friends, those who helped him into power. Once they began to even hint at challenging anything that he said, it was called attacking the authority of government. And that's what Biden is saying here.
Yeah.
Anytime we say anything that's contrary to the stand of the government, it's almost like he said it, you're a domestic terrorist. You're
Ain't it
in
amazing?
opposition to what he's trying to establish.
Yeah.
And we better be careful of that. And I think all of this voting right thing is, they're afraid they're going to lose their power because of the miserable job he and the Democrats have done in just the first year of his administration.
Yeah.
That they're afraid they're going to lose a whole lot of seats in 2022, this year, in November. And so to combat that, they want to switch off and change up and strengthen their position in terms of the voters' right bill. This is the 5th time it's been defeated. But they're not going to stop. They're going to continue trying to put that thing in. Right. What they're trying to do now is sneak it in something, put it as a pork item in some other bill. We better be careful of that. To sneak it into a pork item as a pork item like they are so good at doing. You know how they do. It's going to be about the stimulus package. And everything but stimulus was in the bill. That's what they're going to do with this thing. They're going to try to sneak it into another bill. Take my word for
something. I know this is going to be a topic that some people might not agree with. And Bishop, you might not agree with me on this one, but I got to do it, though. I got to do it. I'm always on the side of truth. So I was talking to a brother the other day, and he said, what's your number one issue with the black community? And I said, one of them is pimp preachers. And I ain't just talking about black preachers neither. I'm talking about the Joe Osteen's of the world stuff too now. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was looking at something Kanye West said today, and Kanye West said that something about the jabs of the mark of the beast, and they were telling him you got to have the jab to perform in Australia or something. He's trying to go some tour or something. But nevertheless, I've been looking at this thing, and I've been very disappointed in a lot of preachers. Not all, but I'm talking about the Shopkins. He's a preacher, really. Let's not use him. Let's use the Creflo Dollars and these types. I don't even talk about the ones that I really don't know about, like Shopkins. I don't know what they are, man. They might just be somebody that you just call something. The Shopkins is also an FBI informant. His number is CI007 or whatever. So actually, I don't know. He preached FBI informant. Actually, I take the latter. He's the FBI informant, and that's the front, so he can get some information. Because Al Sharpton ain't coming nowhere. He ain't getting paid. That's number one. But in a sense, the church used to be a place of endearment, fellowship, friendship, and others. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I see a place that's probably about 75 to 80% of single women and probably 20% of men and probably 10% of men probably got some effeminate tendencies, and the other 10% probably going with their wives. I mean, we got a lot to say here because you cannot go with the status quo of this. You cannot have Joe Biden coming to church with the drag queen bunch and stuff like that to, push the poison. You got it as 501c3. I was doing, we were still talking about some tax work the other day, and I said that really, to tell you the truth, see, the problem with these churches like these, they're getting rolled up by these nonprofits. But here's the big problem. A friend of mine told me this a long time ago. The big problem you have is when the church get the money from the deacon and the pastor and then it goes into a Jewish bank on Monday. And he said, why don't you use that and do community investment to the people? See, and I've said this, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody gets shot in the street in front of your church, right? We can't be
Mhm.
singing Amazing Grace the next Sunday. We got to talk about the guy that got shot in the street, prostitute on the corner, this, that. I mean, when you have all these churches I can just say in the black community in America, you know when you ride in, you might see 20 churches per 5 neighborhoods, maybe. Depends.
On
So,
every
but I
corner.
will say, but I will say this though. There has been a lot of churches that have been divesting and they turn into pubs and other buildings and stuff. So they're getting bought out. So I wanted to say that the globalists also buying out of churches. But the problem is sometimes they stay the preachers in there and they're talking about gambling and all this. I'm like, what is this? This is not how I remember growing up. I mean, this is not a playhouse or a party house. Not getting on anybody, but I'm just saying that,
Mhm.
it has to be addressed because the people I'm talking about, they know who they are. So they don't have to even hide from what I'm saying. So
Well,
if it ain't, don't worry about it. So I don't need nobody that they're gonna see me. Oh, you talking bad? Wait a minute. Did you hear what I said? I said
mm.
you know who you are. So you text my phone or call me about it, then you felt offended because maybe that's how you are. And that's just how I gotta take it.
Well, I think part of the what you're saying, you're correct because um, you know I've been a part of the leadership of my church for a very long time, and a lot of the things that you were discussing, I was kind of concerned about. Now, um, we have a lot of outreach community programs. As we were talking about education on the Judge Show yesterday. One of the things that um, we did the Adopt a School program, and in fact, I was a, a head. I was in charge of that. Well, the lead person to it anyway, and we would go into the schools because they would allow a lot of money to go in there, and money to go in for the programs, and these kids
Oh,
would come in, and we would work with these kids and help them out and all of that. In terms of their reading and writing and doing their homework. In fact, a lot of these kids, we even also had a program at the school where the kids in the neighborhood could come in and get help. People from the church would volunteer to help these kids with their academics. You know, um, but too many, as you see it, too many of our pastors have aligned themselves politically on one side of the political aisle. Particularly when you look at it in the inner cities.
you can't serve two masters.
Absolutely. And so, you don't want to insult the one because they have the political power. Maybe you won't get the land next door, to build that new wing of the church. But and I'm not going to ramble on too long because I know Bishop got a lot to say about this. But the thing is, the work in some of these churches are being done. They don't get broadcast, and I think a lot of what takes place, the bad stuff, is what really gets most of the news. But there's some churches and there's some pastors who are pushing, and I praise the good Lord for those men and women in these churches that are out there doing the work. But so many of them are into uh, excitement and
Hey man,
and
hold on, man.
entertainment.
Stop for a minute. Stop.
Uh-huh.
Shaq got this be rolling. He said y'all ready to celebrate Black History Month.
Yeah, I was seeing that. I was.
Before we
Yeah.
get into that, let me just say this: as a black pastor I've been preaching since 1964, pastoring since 1977, which is quite a few years ago. Um, I agree in some ways, and I disagree in other ways. I agree that the church has taken a stand which we didn't have. When I came along, the government didn't have anything to do with the church.
Right.
If I wanted to build a church, we had to build the church ourselves. If we wanted to expand the church, beautify the church, improve the church, the congregation itself did it. Building fund, rallies, whatever way we had to do it to build the church. Now the church is using the easy way out, getting grants and loans and financing from the government. When you're beholden to the government, you are just that. You're beholden to the government. You have to sing the song they sing, play the game they play, and do the things they say. We didn't have that restriction. The church didn't, and I know, Victor, you've been in it long enough to know this as well. We didn't have that kind of restriction. Because anything we did to improve the church, we did. It was our dollars, our tithes, our offerings. If we did have any kind of people that we knew that had money, it was our effort that got to them. People in the community went to the businesses and asked a businessman, could you sponsor this, or could you co-sponsor with us in doing this and that? So it was a community effort in improving the church. Now we get away with all of that, and now we go right to the government. Can you give us some money? Can you? It used to be a thing of separation in church and state, and we used to honor that, and we prided ourselves in not have to being handcuffed and silenced by a government that's helping us. I think that's a problem we have, something that we need to move away from. But of course, the mega churches, the 35,000 member churches, and all of that, those big, huge congregations, they benefit from it. The pastors benefit personally, and the congregation benefits from it. Now they have cathedral-like buildings and stained glass and this kind of stuff. The modern this and modern that. I mean, it looked like a stage, a theater, if you will. Some of these churches that is so state of the art that all of this is. And then of course the church emphasizes, many of these churches emphasizes prosperity instead of faith, getting rich instead of holiness. And so this kind of thing has hurt the church. I've seen
it definitely has
shift from what it used to be. And I agree with you, Victor. There are a lot of churches, but they're not the mega churches. They're not the churches of renown. They're not the leading church in your community. Another problem, and I'm going to let this go. Another problem is we don't have unity within the body of Christ. Meaning that just like you were saying, there may be 5 churches in one corner. 5 churches, different denominations: Baptist, AME, Pentecostal, non-denominational, Episcopalian, Catholic, whatever. But at one point, just like during the civil rights movement, they would all come together. They'd all march together. They'd work together. They made changes together. Now we're all separate. I got my little group over here. We don't associate with your little group over there. It used to be an old adage: with numbers comes strength. The more people you have, the more powerful you can be, and the more influence you can wield. When you over here with your little 20, and I'm over here with my little 100, and we don't come together we're 120. Then we got the one on the other corner. They got 50. Now we're 170. And they got one over here who has 200. Now we're 370. And on and on and on. But we're so parochial now. We're so cloistered to doing it our way, and who's going to be the star, and who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the spokesman, who's going to be the center stage. I don't care if I'm center stage. I don't care whether my name's mentioned in the list of participants. I just want the job to get done. And we as the people have to look inside of ourselves and see the fact that church is supposed to be interested in the issues and problems of the community. We're not, I mean, most of these big churches, I'm talking about the mega churches, sit right in the heart of the ghetto. Yet your pastor rolls up in a Lamborghini. He'll roll up in a Mercedes, and you got off the bus. And they had no problem with that.
Let me
They'll have
bring
an
out a
airplane.
bonus.
and you hitchhiking, and they got planes, and on the church roof, they got an airplane landing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me bring up a bonus point here. Bonus point. Since Shaq brought it up, I just want to bring this up before I close out. I gotta bring this up. I gotta bring this up. He said, "How do y'all feel? Are y'all ready for Black History Month?" Um, well, the shortest month of the year, I tell you that, right? But I'm sure they're gonna be saying, "We love Black History Month. Celebrate it, celebrate." Everybody ain't tell you to get the jab Black History Month. Do it for your ancestors. Get the jab. But nevertheless, you
Now,
know,
isn't that
here comes the
peculiar?
Symbolism.
How
Here comes the
we
dumb
celebrate
stuff.
Black History
Oh,
Month,
we
but we
love
don't talk
you.
about Black History no other time
We
of the year.
love you. We want to celebrate with you. We want everything with you.
For that 28
You know
days,
how they're gonna
29
do it.
days, 29 or 28 days, they'll celebrate that.
28. Now, let me bring up this brother's comment here. I'm gonna bring up the
And every
comment.
time they do
You're gonna see a
put
whole lot
something
of
on,
panic.
it's always something that we've heard 1,000 times before. They'll talk about Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington, maybe W.E.B. Du Bois. Very rarely. Very rarely you hear anything
We
about
support
Marcus
black
Garvey.
businesses, right?
You'll naturally talk about King. You talk about all of that. You'll very seldom will talk
Mm.
about H. Rap Brown. You may see a thing about Malcolm X, but it's the same group. That's why I say it's nothing
That's
serious
right.
about this. If you
That's
don't bring
right.
up nothing
Listen,
but the same old warmed up, you warm things up, you know how
that's right.
Mm.
after a
But you
while
know
you
what?
warm
That's
warm
why
up,
they
they
talk about
don't
the
hate you
Supreme
after a
Court
while.
justice. That's why they talk about Supreme Court justice. It's getting close to Black History Month. Now I know what's going on. That's right.
Well, let's address the issue of why it was in February, and that
Okay.
was the government didn't recognize February. It was Carter G. Woodson.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and if I'm not mistaken, his birthday is in February also, isn't it? Because he's known as the father of Black history,
Yeah. And
if I
also
remember correctly.
and so are some of the heroes of the movement too. Richard Allen, he was born on Valentine's Day. You have
Okay,
Nat Turner, he was born in February. Some of the heroes of Black history have
right.
links
So
to February.
yeah, so this is why we have it in February because I've heard the argument, well, why isn't it in June or something like.
Some of the long
There's no,
nights. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, in the warmer months where people can get out and do celebration. There's nothing stopping folks from doing it if you want to have, you know, a second celebration or a second recognition of the history of our people in the warm summer months.
What they gave us Juneteenth. So that's in June. So we should be happy. Now we got February, we got June. Be happy,
Symbolism over
Black folk.
substance.
You got 2 months now. You all right? Still
Yeah,
ain't happy?
symbolism over substance. But I
Yeah, that's
mean,
always,
th-
always.
there's a way to always, I think we can
White
celebrate
people celebrate
our
Juneteenth too.
history.
Oh yeah, they celebrate it more than we do because it's a federal holiday, which means they'll be off on Juneteenth. Well, a lot of us won't be because
Yeah,
a lot of us aren't in government jobs, so a lot of us won't
yeah,
be. They'll be off and we'll still be working on Juneteenth. So you are
yeah.
celebrating the end of slavery while we're working and they're off. And that's even a
Yeah.
lie because it didn't
Oh,
end
in
in June.
October,
It
October
ended
is hip
actually
hop history
in
month.
December when Delaware and Kentucky ratified the 13th, 14th Amendment, and it didn't end in this country until 1866 when the Native Americans freed their slaves. So Juneteenth don't mean nothing actually.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what Judge was talking about when he was going back and forth with some of the folks. I remember the one gentleman that came on, and you know, and then it was just like an all out assault against the judge, by the judge. I can't think of the guy's name. He and another guy came on there. It was just like an all out assault. But see, this th- that kind of a thing shows me that there's a class of our people that want us that want every last one of us to march lock, stock, and barrel with the status quo.
That's right.
And I
You're right.
and I think that what we see happening, what we now see happening is our people starting to wake up. You know, even though folks may not vote within the Republican Party, they sure enough are getting fed up with the Democrat Party. The endless, promises and broken promises, I might say, and the actual condition of the communities as we look at them. I mean, East St. Louis, East Cleveland, Saginaw, Michigan, Flint, Pontiac,
Baltimore,
you know,
Baltimore,
Baltimore. But I'm
Philadelphia. I
speaking
mean, what
primarily,
Philadelphia?
yeah, Philadelphia. I mean,
Yeah,
the major cities as
yep,
well as our some of our smaller cities have been controlled and dominated. I mean, think about Camden, New Jersey, right where you are,
yeah. There you
Bishop.
go. There you are.
I remember I remember it wasn't too long ago I was looking this up. If this was during Obama's term in office. Yeah, there was some corrupt mayors over there
Very
in
much so.
France.
I know some of
And,
them.
oh, yeah. I mean, I was like, wow. And then it
Yeah,
was the same thing, and they all look like us.
yep.
And the ones in Baltimore. I mean, those sisters. And I always ask the question, what, you know,
Well, who dropped the bomb? Who dropped the bomb in Philadelphia in a black neighborhood?
yeah,
Wilson Good, a black mayor.
mm, yeah,
He
yeah.
dropped the bomb on the old city block.
And now we
Well,
look at what is happening now. As you look at what's happening now, the district attorney's project, which I hear a lot of people talking about, particularly in the conservative media, whether you're looking at Krasner down there in Philly where you
yeah,
are, or the guy in
New
I
York.
can't think of New York and also Los Angeles,
Right, right.
San Francisco, where they're just allowing criminals to walk. You know, um, and we're talking about people who have committed, some serious felonies that are able to walk, and yet they're coming after us. They're going after parents who object to whatever it is they object to at a school
We
board
the
meeting.
criminals. That's why we the criminals.
We've become the criminals now
Mm,
without committing any
Yeah.
crimes, and this is why it was one pastor in this area. He used to always say, "You're one false accusation away from being in prison,"
that's
because
true.
they have the
That's
power
true.
to do that. We're not criminals. We just speak in our voice, but it is a crime. It's moving into the point.
It is
We're
a
moving
crime.
into the
Shit.
point where if you if you
Hey
if you
man.
speak out against it, you've committed a crime.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let me say something. Why? Hey, look, man. Shoot. That's why they had me banned twice in there on a month. They put me. Hey, look. They gave me one suspension, two. I said, dang, can I appeal this thing? They told me, no, medical misinformation. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But you know what I always say? To the victor goes the spoils, and the people gonna win in the end. Is life. You ain't getting out this thing alive. So, like 50 Cent album say you get rich or die trying. Like I said, I got some things I got to do. I got to oh yeah, Victor, they have a rally. I guess Trump was having a rally tonight at 7 o'clock or something like that too.
Hmm.
One of the injuries they talk about. But we got, like I said, we got a couple of days in Black History Month. Sure they're gonna put some LGBT stuff in there as well. But nevertheless, hey, it is what it is. This was actually a good show. Thanks, Shaq, for bringing up that one comment about Black History Month.
Yeah.
Maybe
Good.
I have to get some
Yeah,
more
Shaq.
stuff
Yeah,
on
Shaq.
there. Hey,
Right
look,
on.
I'm gonna use all these 20 hours this month. You guarantee I'm gonna use all these hours that I'm back. Everybody see a show again tomorrow. We'll see. I'll let you know. But yeah, it's good to
Yeah.
be back. I had people like Monel actually, he sent me a message and stuff like that. I said, no, I ain't going nowhere. Just they told me 2 weeks, and then I just happened to come on last night, and then I said, oh, I'm back. Okay, well, that's cool. Let me get right back to it. So, but
Hmm.
y'all shout out your contact information and all that stuff. Y'all got good
Well,
content.
I'm not on social media, so I don't,
Well, yeah, you good. Well, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, sure though. Um,
Oh
but
well, yeah, on blog, yeah, in
yeah, so but
conversation with, yeah.
yeah, but we'll discuss that. Long time, this first time comment in the chat. Y'all keep it going. Yeah, make yourself back, and thank you
Let
for
me
listening to me.
let me say this too, Bernard, because me, you, and Shaq, we talk about this often, and we're in this time now where people are gonna have to figure out what side of the aisle or what side of the fence they're going to be on. There won't be no middle of the road. If you're silent, your voice is going to have to be heard, especially if you don't like what's going on. Especially with all of the mandates, the government implementing all these forced mandates on us, and you know, the only way to put an end to it is that people are going to have to speak up, and not only that, but your elected officials are going to have, we're going to have to do what we need to do to get our elected officials to know and understand that we don't want our lives dictated and ran and controlled by central agencies,
Big
you
brother.
know, big brother
Yeah.
basically, yeah, that will scoop us up, you know, at any whims just simply because we spoke out, because we want to use our First Amendment right, the freedom of speech, and this whole idea of being called terrorists because we disagree. It just, they warned us back after 9/11 that the Patriot Act could come back to hunt us. I
They
remember the
did.
conversations, and this is exactly what we see happening. Now, everybody's a terrorist, so
That's right.
those on the other side that disagree with us, yeah, we'll be the first to
Let me,
go.
hey, look, but let me be a.
But
Hey,
keep in
look.
mind, they coming after you too.
Can I? Hey, look.
That's
Let me
right.
be a true terrorist then. All right, that's fine. They like it like that. You know, go ahead, Bishop. Shout out the information. That's good.
Okay, well, I really enjoy this as always to be with Victor and Bernard and Nick and Frank Nitty and
Oh yeah,
Shaq and
yeah,
everybody. I really learned so much from you, and I thank you for the opportunity once again to be a part of the panel. And I appreciate each and every one of you every week. My information. I'm on Blog Talk Radio every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Real Talk with the G Man,
Send
6
me a comment.
p.m.
Get my number.
Eastern Standard Time here on Blog Talk Radio. Come and join us. We have a lively discussion. Victor
yeah.
knows it. PJ knows
Oh
it.
yeah,
We have a lively discussion, but it's always informative. It's always
yeah.
based on fact and not mere opinion and
Hmm.
feelings and emotions. We bring you what we know from the documentation that's out there, not some pie in the sky stuff. It's real, substantiated data
And
and status
let me
thing
bring
we
up
are.
something.
And I enjoy that aspect of our program that we're talking about things that are for real, not
Absolutely,
imaginary and not
absolutely,
conspiratory, but actual things that are happening. It may
things
be
that
a
are happening.
conspiracy, but if we bring it up, it'll be it'll be documented. It'll
Well, you
be
know what they
evidence.
say. You know what they say, Bishop. Today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's conspiracy. So, so you know,
Tomorrow's
Hey,
history.
you
look.
can call it, yeah, you can call it a conspiracy
Yeah.
theory today, but tomorrow it'll actually be a real
That's right. That's
conspiracy.
right. And so we
Yeah.
we just thank everyone for being a part of this. I thank you for being a part of the program. And once again, Real Talk with the G Man every Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our phone number is 515-602-9655. And
Okay.
we encourage you to join us
Yeah.
every Wednesday.
Because I
Let me
got a
bring
show
some.
coming up next Sunday.
Oh,
That's
good.
good, Bishop. I got a show coming up next Sunday. I don't know my number right off.
But I get your
Yeah,
information, so I'll be able to get it and
I don't
I'll
I don't
share it.
have my number right on hand, but yeah.
it's all good. I
But
get
I
to it.
know
It's
Bernard is
not
gonna
tomorrow, it'll
share
be next
it.
Sunday. Not
He
tomorrow,
got us
right, Victor?
covered next Sunday.
Yeah,
Victor,
Yeah,
not
I'll
not
tomorrow.
figure.
tomorrow.
I get
Next
it out.
Sunday. Yeah.
Next
I don't
Sunday.
have it right on hand
Community
myself right
policing.
now, but let me bring
Oh,
something
good. Oh,
We're
up.
that's
gonna
good. That's real
we're gonna
good.
talk
That's
about community policing. Yeah.
that's real good. We need to.
Okay,
We need to.
because all the numbers are like 515 or something like that. So
Right, right. Most of the numbers for Blog Talk mainly.
Yeah.
A lot of them are anyway.
yeah, that's the problem.
602. I yeah.
I get it. I get it straight. So, um,
Okay, bro.
I'll announce it on
um,
Wednesday too. Send it to me, Victor, and I'll announce it on Wednesday
yeah,
on my
yeah,
program
that's
as well.
fine.
Okay.
So then
I'll probably
they'll
announce it
know.
another day during the week if
Yeah,
I
that'd
get
be
it
great.
Okay.
straight. Because I
Okay.
Felicia's number is something like that. Oh, speaking of that, she was doing a live right now actually, so she couldn't be on. That's what I want to say.
Oh,
But
okay. Salute to
um,
our sister. Yeah.
Yeah, I want her to come on. Actually, we'll get her on next time. But cut dog LS. Shout out to Victor, Bishop, Shaq, Frank B, King BJ, Valerie, JD, got tune in Rico. Yeah, real time. You know what, sir?
Salute.
Leave a comment in the thing, and I give you my number. Not off the air though. Give you my number. Nevertheless, you can give me King BJ Johnson right here. The other channel is King BJ. Actually, I got a Twitch page too. I did that but I only used it one time. I had to judge on that, but that was interesting. Then we got Facebook Bernard Johnson, King BJ Fitness 32, KingBJMedia.com, KingBJFitness.com, Bernard 1121 Instagram, $1919 BJ Cash App, and I'm thinking some other avenues. I got to get a couple things done on this nutrition front. People really need to know what's coming, and I don't think y'all out of the woods yet. Actually, the devils all returned to the scene of the crime. So with that being said, hey, just be vigilant and watchful. Stay safe. It will be days like this. And yeah, thanks everybody for tuning back in. I am glad to be back, but I will tell you this. I don't know. I felt like I was in exile or something. You know, I got kind of like a little bit.
Yeah, you were.
Basically.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
I was like, what's that movie called? Waiting to Exhale. I'm like, are y'all gonna let me out of this prison?
Yeah.
But you know, but it's almost like that thing. Oh, it's 515-602-9785. 515-602-9785. That's your number.
Yeah, that's my number.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
That's mine. That's mine.
What was that? 515
602-9785. Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him.
Okay,
that's
good.
Him. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Shaq.
Yeah.
Send that to me, Bernard. Send it because I want to announce that again.
Yeah, I'll get it to you, Bishop.
Yeah. Do that. That's right, Victor. I got you and I can good. Give me that.
Yeah.
And you can announce it on Wednesday too. So everybody can be mindful of it for Sunday.
Like I say, I'm kind of. This is kind of different. So. You know, I thought like I said, waiting to exhale, and then like it's almost, it's like waiting to exhale, and it's almost like Stella got a groove back.
Stella got a groove back, yeah.
But but nevertheless, y'all take.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you for
go ahead and do it. All right, thank you.
Salute.
Good night, gentlemen.
You too.